Quick update on everyone's favorite steel company, United States Steel Corporation, ticker symbol X on the New York Stock Exchange. The company recently had a big dip here. If we back up just about 1 week ago, we can see we had a big drop all the way down to sub 27, and now we're supposedly pushing back. Now, in talks with Nippon Steel, they're trying to push this deal through, I think, in my opinion, before elections come to a close, which also I said was probably going to happen. So we had a big jump today, up about 7%. And after that big dip, you can see the stock just over a couple of days almost immediately came back and filled that big gap down. And we can see that the stock almost made it up to 34 and today 33.92. So if you happen to step in and buy that dip sub 30, obviously you're up very nicely right now. But even if we back it up, again, you can see when we initially had the talks of the hesitation, the stock immediately rebounded and you could have bought the dip and made a nice little play. And now, of course, the stock pulls back to the low 30s and then it runs back up into the low 40s. And now you have the announcement of the delay, and now you have the run up back up to, like the mid 30s pretty much from 26, 27. So, in my opinion, and of course, as you can probably tell as well, this is a situation where buying the dips is obviously paid off well for you on the trading aspect side of it as well. Well, not really as well, but predominantly, right? But if we look at some recent news here, we can see Nippon Steel exec to meet U.S. officials about steel buyout offer. Also, U.S. Steel unveils ZMAG coated steel, apparently. Flat rolled coated steel product. The steel developed to be stronger, more resilient, and more sustainable than the current goods on the market rises to the challenge of the world's worst environments, offering a new level of reliability and durability to the solar, automotive, and construction industries. So, also, this is why when I originally looked at U.S. Steel, back here, when we originally looked at U.S. Steel, this is why I said, in my opinion, this has always been a strong, stable company. And I also mentioned that every couple of years, it seems like someone steps in and tries to buy them out. So even when the market beats them up and brings them down and, into the 20s or into the high teens, they always have usually a bounce back. And then it seems like out of left field, just because a lot of people don't follow our metals and our material stocks, but it seems like it comes out of left field. But as I said, it seems like every couple of years, the company gets approached with a buyout bid, which should tell you that there is inevitable value there. And also, more importantly, before even this news came out that Nippon is rushing to Washington to try to seal the deal, we also see that, well, you have Harris saying U.S. Steel should remain American owned, right? So they're flying to the U.S. to try to push the deal through. Final push. But also, right, we recently had some upgrades here. GLJ Research upgraded the stock to buy from sell. JP Morgan upgraded U.S. Steel stock to overweight from neutral with a price target of 42. Obviously, volume was above average. And also, there were petitions. Hold on. JP Morgan, 42 price target. Here we go. And we can see that apparently we're petitioning certain anti-dumping imports from UAE, Vietnam, dumping imports from Netherlands, South Africa, Taiwan, Turkey, Brazil, Canada, Mexico. So it seems as though, again, I'm not trying to stretch this information, but it seems like we're trying to keep the steel market authentic, if you will. And U.S. Steel, in my opinion, as I said, has always kind of been the more standalone steel manufacturer, in my opinion. And that's why I personally always kept an eye on them. I always said that I liked them in the numbers. I always mentioned previous buyout bids that came in. And I consistently mentioned that there should be nice long-term growth in the situation. U.S. Steel, United Steelworkers petitioned the Commerce Department and the International Trade Commission to apply anti-dumping and countervailing duties on imports of corrosion-resistant flat-rolled steel. applicable to imports from Australia, Brazil, Canada, Mexico, South Africa, aim to restore a level playing field, said U.S. Steel General Counsel and Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer. Quote, these new trade cases, the largest filed by U.S. Steel in nearly a decade, will address low price and subsidized core imports that continue to pour into the U.S. markets. The party's petition follows that of Steel Dynamics, which on Thursday petitioned the Commerce Department and the International Trade Commission, claiming surging imports have hurt the domestic market. Commerce Department expected to initiate these cases, while the International Trade Commission is expected to hold a public preliminary staff conference this month. The organization's final orders are not expected until October 25. So now, see, it seems like, again, not to get political, but it seems like Trump is in the lead at the moment. And I know that Trump initially said that he wanted, obviously, to keep it American made. So if the quote-unquote findings from the International Trade Commission aren't going to be until later 25, that may potentially be under a Trump administration. But my point is also that Trump probably, not to speculate too much, but Trump, he's pretty sharp when it comes to, again, like the imports, the exports, the tariffs and whatnot. So this is why I feel that we wouldn't have even reached this point, in my opinion, if we had a Trump administration, which kind of leads me to believe that this will go in favor of our domestic steel companies, and the stock will most likely rebound higher. But overall, in my opinion, whether it's 27, whether it's 33, 36, in my opinion, I feel there's value here. Again, we got into a bidding war. Highest bid came out above 50. Stock originally looked at back here at the high 19s. And this is exactly why I said I liked it. Now, it seems like, again, since the bid came in right before the bull dropped in 24, it seems like throughout 24, the stock, dropped, and then we flattened out. Now we're dropping again. We're trying to rebound again. So I understand it seems like it's all over the place, right? Obviously, if it's announced tomorrow, oh yeah, Nippon Steel deal accepted, the stock's going to pop up to whatever the deal is for. But more importantly, I think people like the analysts over at JP Morgan, I think that they see the writing on the wall, so to speak, and they see the long-term growth. And again, this was even before the announcement of supposedly the ZMAG coated steel that just supposedly hit the market and is better and more sustainable, according to U.S. Steel. But we had the upgrade, JP Morgan, upping it to overweight and a $42 price target. So this is why I feel, regardless of what's going on, there's value here. Regardless of what's going on, there's value here. And I did mention that they may try to push the deal through because it's an election year, but I don't know. I have a feeling this bid is not going to be accepted. And we have to back up and we have to relook at U.S. Steel as the long-term company again, as opposed to, is the Nippon deal going to get approved? Because in my opinion, I really don't think it will. But we had the big drop here. You can see RSI went well below 30. It's been on the up and up here. Looking at the daily, RSI a little below 42, so we definitely have more room to run up. In my opinion, probably a retest back to this mid-Bollinger Band of about 36.5, kind of basically filling the big drop down initially, just a couple of days ago. And it's probably going to go back to where it was, in my opinion. We already have the flattening and the curling now with the big rebound today of U.S. Steel potentially curling back to the upside. Fire truck going by. But in my opinion, 36 and even back to 38. Overall, we know basically that the stock is worth, all right, what's going on? Sirens for days. But we basically know, in my opinion anyway, the way I look at it, we know the stock is worth more than 40. If memory serves correct, the initial bid came out at 35, and then the company received multiple bids above 40, which means 41, 42, 42.5, right? So that's why I'm saying, in my opinion, this is easily at least a $40 stock. And I feel that the analyst over at JP Morgan crunched some of the numbers like we did, and of course looked at previous bids that came in. So that's why they probably felt, yeah, 42. In my opinion, that's conservative, because I think easily 45 to 50. But again, that's just me. But a retracement back up here to these moving averages really should happen. But right now it seems like we're only focusing on the Nippon Steel bid. So obviously if we get news of it being pushed through, the stock's going to pop up. If we get news of it, looking like it's going to get squashed, then the stock's probably going to drop back down to 30 sub 30, which in my opinion would put it on sale. It basically seems again like that's the trend that we're seeing. On these big dips, we get these nice rebounds. So it seems very short-lived for the most part. RSI on the weekly here, sub 40. We were approaching that 30 benchmark. We came down right to the 200-day moving average. Had a nice bounce back above it. Got back inside Bollinger Band range. We started to trumpet, but we got right back in the range, which means these bands are now going to curl and flatten out. And we can see the mid-Bollinger Band 37.66. 50-day a little over 39.5. So in my opinion, I do think it's going back to 36, 37, 38, 39. I do think it retraces back to those levels. MACD recently crossed to the downside, had the big drop, but this is on the longer time frame, so we'll probably over the next week or so potentially flatten out and curl back to the upside here. But in my opinion, there's still value here, and that's why even with all of this noise going on surrounding the Nippon Steel bid, you still have analysts coming out upgrading to buys. You have analysts coming out upgrading their price targets, because overall I think that they know that this is a winner. And if we look here, we have 12 analysts currently covering this situation. We have 7 giving it a strong buy, 1 giving it a buy, 4 saying to hold, no one saying to sell it. Average price target a touch below 42, lowest price target 37, roughly 10% higher than where we are. Max price target basically back to those highs of about $50. And we can see that the revenue, yes, we had 2 misses, very, very slight as you see, almost 2% and then 1.3%. Before and after, though, very steady on those quarters, stable company holding that 4 to 5 billion range. And we could also see on the EPS side, we're really having no issues, while at the same time, apparently, we're coming out with bigger, better, and better ZMAG coated steel to potentially hit the market soon. So this is why I'm saying, overall, there's value in this business. And that's basically a fact, really, not an opinion. So this is why, again, I say, in my eyes, I stick to my guns. And yeah, could it swing and drop back down to the low 20s if the deals don't go through? Yes. If markets actually decide to get real and start selling off, coming back down to reality, will US Steel drop to 25, 23? Yes, most likely. However, in my opinion, every dip seems to show us a nice rebound. And just looking at the long-term growth, again, we were in a big downtrend going into those lockdowns, and then we've been basically in nothing but an uptrend since then. And also, if we want to draw out a trend line here, this initial trend line, when we first looked at it, this is going back to the bottoms of July 6, 22, connecting to the bottom of June 1st, 2023. So now if we extend that out, you see that where it, excuse me, you see that where it met up with the line right there, you can see 27.65. And look at the 200-day moving average on the weekly, 27.77. So it came down, it broke this support trend line, it broke the moving average, then it had the strong bounce back up to close up at 29.38. So about, like a 1.5 higher coming off that strong bounce, and then has slowly been trending upward, and then had a big 7% pop today back above 33. So in my opinion, technically, it is still uptrending and remaining bullish from the original support trend line that we looked at about 2 years ago at sub 20 when we first analyzed it. So again, right now seems like a news sensitive stock, but overall as a company, I think it looks good. I think there's still value here. And even getting in here, and if we end up getting out, let's just say at 40, you're still looking at a nice like 15, 17% return, which of course is really nothing to sneeze at. And of course, you're buying, an American steel company. So you have that feather in your cap as well to go along with it. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to update some recent analyst changes and just give my overall view and opinion on the VP of Nippon Steel apparently flying out, trying to push the deal through. But again, I have to reiterate, whether the deal goes through or not, I think it's worth more. The initial bid came in, I believe, at $35, and we're here at 33.38. And that's it. I'll end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky and volatile and uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.